Good morning, students. Yesterday we had read about the beggar, supplementary read last chapter number 10, and then we saw how he was calling upon people, wanting to mint money from them by giving various excuses of being a school teacher and people conspiring against him, and then he losing his job, and sometimes he would say that he was a student and he was expelled, and that way he was asking for money from people, where he comes across an advocate called Sergi, and then he tells him, actually promotes him indirectly to work for his living, and then he offers him a work at his own house to chop the wood for winter, and then in the process he comes to know that he is very weak, very feeble to do that work. Whether or not he learns a lesson, this beggar, let's see now. Page number 64, paragraph number 2. Sergi's anger had vanished, and now he had begun to feel a little sorry and ashamed for himself for having set a spoiled, drunken, perhaps sick man to work at menial labor in the cold. So, like a normal human being like you and I, anybody who would set up anybody like this in that condition where that person has been drinking a lot and the body has become weak. So, what kind of a work could be given to them? Could I give him a menial job which had no, like, I couldn't have given him a white collar job, like sit at the desk and write something for me. But if I give him a very menial job, a very low dignity job, and then you see that he's not able to do it, that will give way to sympathy in your heart. So same, Sergi had doubts about himself. He was ashamed also to give him such a job, and he had self-doubts whether he had done the right thing or not. An hour later, Olga came in and announced that the wood had all been chopped. Somehow that beggar managed to chop the wood as well, and Olga came and declared to the advocate that yes, this job has been done. Good, give him half a ruble, said Sergi. If he wants to, he can come back and cut wood on the first day of each month. We can always find him work. So he not only gives him money, the payment for his work, but he also offers him that every month if he wants to come back at the beginning of the month, he can come and work for us and I can pay him. On the first of the month, the waif made his appearance and again earned half a ruble, although he could barely stand on his legs. The waif over here means a homeless, neglected person who does not have any property, any kind of an asset on his name, and he is a destitute. What condition he must be living in. So he would come, he would work, he would earn that money, though he was very, very weak. From that day on, he often appeared in the yard, and every time work was found for him. So whenever he would come to their farm, the advocate would definitely see to it that some or the other work could be created for him, so that he could earn his living, which was the actual intention behind giving him work. Now he would shovel snow, now put the wood shed in order, now beat the dust out of rugs and mattresses. These are the jobs he used to do. Shoveling snow means when the heap of snow is there at a place, he would move it away where the usage of the place would be there, where people had to walk and not. He would shovel the snow and move it aside. Every time he received from 20 to 40 kopecks, and once even a pair of old trousers were sent out to him because his clothes were torn, and then this was noticed by the advocate Sergi. He gave him a set of trousers also. When Sergi moved into another house, he hired him to help in the packing and hauling of the furniture. Hauling over here means you pull and drag and then keep it in the place. So he was even hired for that purpose. This time the waif was sober. Like, he was not that conning kind of a person who would say that I am undergoing this kind of a problem, so give me money and all. This time he was very sober. He was depressed, yes, gloomy, yes, he was depressed, and he was very silent. He hardly touched the furniture, and walked behind the wagons, hanging his head, not even making a pretense of appearing busy. So earlier, when Advocate had met him, at that time he had made up stories and all, and he, while chopping wood also, he was trying to cut it or pretending to cut it, at least making an attempt of show off at least over that and trying to work. But this time it was not that case. He wouldn't at all move the furniture. He was very weak and feeble, and he would just move behind the wagons. Wagons are those parts of the vehicle which carry that furniture, and he would just keep his head hanging low, and then he was just roaming around here and there. He only shivered in the cold and became embarrassed when the carters jeered at him for his idleness, his feebleness, and his tattered fancy overcoat. So he was shivering, he was embarrassed because he was doing that kind of a job where carters are those people who carry these goods in the cart, those who brought the wagons over there. Jeered means they passed very, very rude remarks at him. And then why? Because he was very idle, he was weak, and he had not worn proper clothing, he had worn torn clothes. After the moving was over, Sergi sent for him. Well, I am happy that my words have taken effect, he said, handing him a ruble. Here's for your pains. I see you are sober and have no objection to work. What is your name? So that's the first time after so many months passing by, he asks him his name and he says Lashkov. Well, Lashkov, I can now offer you some other cleaner employment. Can you write? Now he wants to give him a job which is a white collar job. I can. Then take this letter to a friend of mine tomorrow and you will be given some copying to do. Okay, so like you can make copies of certain things. Work hard, don't drink, and remember what I have said to you. Goodbye. So he says, remember what all I have told you earlier also. So please don't drink, don't get into the old habits. Work hard, whatever I have told you, just remember that. Pleased at having put a man on the right path, Sergi tapped Lashkov kindly on the shoulder like this and even gave him his hand at parting. So he shook his hand also. Parting means goodbye or farewell. So he was moving away from there. So he shook his hands as well with him. Lashkov took the letter and from that day forth came no more to the yard to work. So now that he had got a proper job, he used to go to work and he did not come back to his farm to work over there, the menial jobs. 2 years went by. Then one evening, as Sergi was standing at the ticket window of a theatre paying for his seat, he noticed a little man beside him with a coat collar of curly fur and worn sealskin cap. So that was his attire. He noticed a man. He had gone to a theatre. Sergi had gone to a theatre. He was waiting at the ticket window to get a ticket from there. So he noticed this man who had worn a very good coat which had curly fur collar, and then he had worn even a sealskin cap as well. This little individual timidly asked the ticket seller for a seat in the gallery and paid for it in copper coins. So whosoever was this man whom Sergi was noticing, he gave him copper coins and then he said, I do need a seat in the gallery. Lashkov, is that you? Cried Sergi, recognizing in the little man his own former wood chopper. How are you? What are you doing? How is everything with you? All right, I am a notary now and I am paid 35 rubles a month. Now, notary is a person, you would find notaries in front of courts as well. So, these are the people who help you in making the legal deeds, the documents, the agreements. These people do the writing work of it, the writing and the typing work of it. So he'd become a notary right now and then he was being paid that much for a month. Thank heaven, that's fine. I'm delighted for your sake. I'm very, very glad, Lashkov. You see, you're my godson in a sense. I gave you a push along the right path. You know, do you remember what a roasting I gave you? Huh? I really had you sinking into the ground at my feet that day. Thank you, old man, for not forgetting my words. So he he recalls all that he had done for that man on that day. He was literally falling on the feet for money, begging for money, though he was saying lies also. So, but here he is actually saying that might be God had chosen me to get you onto the right path. Thank you too, said Lashkov. If I hadn't come to you, then I might still have been calling myself a teacher or a student to this day. Yes, by flying to your protection, I dragged myself out of a pit. So like he says, from those dirty circumstances, I did pull myself out only because you had promoted me to do so. I am very glad indeed. Glad is happy. Thank you for your kind words and deeds. I am very grateful to you and your cook. God bless that good and noble woman. Now, who was this good and noble woman? It was Olga. You spoke finely then, and I shall be indebted to you to my dying day. But strictly speaking, it was your cook Olga who saved me. He says, I can give you a part of the credit of who I am today, but majoritively I would like to give the credit to your cook. Because you had not been that rude in talk when it came to Olga. Now here comes a question mark, a frown on the head. How did Olga help him? Olga used to hurl abuses at him and she used to get angry with him. But Olga, how did Olga help in changing his life is the question. Let's see. How is that? When I used to come to your house to chop wood, she used to begin. Oh, you sot. Sot over here means a habitual drunkard. You, oh, you miserable creature. There's nothing for you but ruin. Like he says, she used to tell him, there's nothing for you but you are finished. You've almost ruined in your life. And then she would sit down opposite me and grow sad, look into my face and weep. So she had a mixed emotion kind of a feeling. She would hurl abuses at him also, and then she would look at him in his pitiable state and cry as well. Oh, you unlucky man, there is no pleasure for you in this world, and there will be none in the world to come. You drunkard, you will burn in hell. Oh, you unhappy one. And so she would go carry on, in that strain. So she would go on, and that's what Advocate used to see from far from his window, that she, with the lip movement, you could guess that she was continuously shouting at him. I can't tell you how much misery she suffered, how many tears she shed for my sake. But the chief thing was, she used to chop the wood for me. Do you know, sir, that I did not chop even one single stick of wood for you. She did it all. Why this saved me, why I changed, why I stopped drinking. At the sight of her, I cannot explain. This man was so touched by this lady's, I would say, approach towards him. She did his job also, and then she abused him also, and then she cried for him also. So these mixed emotions brought in such a change in that person that he changed for good only. I only know that owing to her words and noble deeds, a change took place in my heart. She set me right and I shall never forget it. However, it is time to go now. There goes the bell. Lashkov bowed and departed to the gallery. So here's like somebody is destined to come in your life who would bring about that change in you. No matter what measures they adopt to bring that change, it might be a good one, it can be a bad one, but what matters at the end of the story is that he changed, and he changed for good. And that change was brought about by a lady who did hurl abuses at him, but she worked on behalf of him, and then she saw to it that he would get the money so that he would become self-reliant. So dear, read the chapter thoroughly, and if you have any doubts you can ask me. So solve the questions also which have been given in the text. Good morning and thank you.